Well, hello everyone. I am Liane with the Biohacking BioQuantum Summit, and I have an extra special guest, dear to my heart. I met her at the Biohacking Conference with Dave Asprey, and she has become a close friend. It's like we've known each other for years. She is the owner of Native Palms Nutrition and Wellness, and she's a certified holistic nutritionist, also a dietary supplement professional, and the list goes on and on. You can check her out in the bio. Lyssandra Guerra, welcome. Please introduce yourself if you have a little something that you'd like to share with our audience.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. This is such a lovely opportunity. And yes, we met not too long ago, but we are cut from the same cloth. I feel it. So yes, I'm Lyssandra. I'm based out of the LA area. And like Liane said, I'm a holistic nutritionist. I'm a women's health advisor. I've been in the space for 10 plus years, professionally 10 years. This year will be my 10th year, and focusing on functional nutrition, holistic nutrition, and how we can optimize our bodies so that we have longer living, happier lives. I've been focusing on women's health for like 5 years now, and just how to hack the menstrual cycle. And the other transitions of our life. And so here we are. I'm just happy to get started and to talk.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So you said 10 years, and I'm just, because the summit is about the future, the evolution of humanity, what's our potential? Have you seen an evolution in these past 10 years, or something that specifically stands out? Does something come to
Yeah,
mind?
absolutely. And it's so interesting because like 10 years ago, it really isn't that long ago, right? But when I first started, it was the beginning of Instagram. And I know this sounds so like, let's talk about social media. But at that time, there wasn't so much conversation about health and wellness that everyone was talking about, right? I feel like now trends come and it's like about mental health and wellness and the quantum fields, like our energetic bodies, and people are more apt and hip to it, at least like a little bit of the understanding of like, yeah, this is around. But 10 years ago, I feel like I was barely getting people inspired by showing them beautiful photos of food. Like that was my introduction to be like, yo, look at what you eat. This is beautiful. This is enzymatic and like full of life and vibrancy. And when you eat this, you too will inherit that from the plant or, the meal. And so I have seen that evolution of people becoming a lot more like open and aware to the benefits of science, when it comes to our health and through food. So I have seen it, and it's quite beautiful. It's just, yeah, I think it's beautiful. And there's all this new research coming out all the time too. And even going to the biohacking summit, it's like, wow, look at all these like topics that like are relatively new.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Lysander. I also love that you in the beginning, you introduced like, look at these vibrant fruits and vegetables. It's so true. Not too long ago, I went to a dinner, and it's amazing the relationship. If you actually bring your consciousness, your awareness into the nutrients that's around us, how similar it can resemble your body. Like an avocado is like a uterus, and it's kind of interesting how these things mirror each other, because we really all do come from one source particle. Do you have anything that you'd like to add or elaborate to that?
Yeah, in a way, and that just made me go think about seeds,
Mm.
like hemp seeds, basil seeds, seeds, and how like they're so nutrient dense and they have so much life that they sprout, right? Like they sprout into like a beautiful plant, and they're so full of nutrition, so full of like these vitamins and minerals that are enhanced times like 10. And so it's like when we eat them, we too are like, inheriting a lot of their like their nutrient potency. And so that kind of reminded me of like, it's just like when we eat kidney beans, they're great for our kidneys. And it's so true. It's like like, right? Or what is
Yes,
that saying?
like
Like it's like
attracts like.
attract like.
So
And so
true.
what we eat, the seeds that we eat are gonna plant seeds in us and they're gonna grow, we're gonna sprout from them. Same thing as like, you know, I mean, yeah, you eat a kidney bean, it's gonna help your kidneys.
100%, 100%. And then you talked about now, especially after COVID, you're really noticing the people are more aware and interested, and that you mentioned mental health. And I'm
Yeah.
just curious, there's been a lot of talk about that, like brain gut connection. If you could
Mhm.
maybe elaborate on that a little bit.
Mhm. Absolutely. And so, um, the brain gut, it's like there's such a communication between the two, right? It's the brain gut axis is like the communication between the central nervous system, our brain, and our enteric nervous system, which is our gut. And they're kind of like all, you know, connected through this vagus nerve that has all these fingers, all these nerve endings that tell us about our gut functioning. They tell us about our stress and our emotions. And so, the gut is also like houses trillions and trillions of bacteria and yeast and microorganisms that help produce our neurotransmitters like serotonin that makes us happy, dopamine that gives us that drive. And so, once, it's like when we don't feed the gut the appropriate nutrients that it needs to flourish that ecosystem, those chemicals that we need, they're not going to be produced. And so we start to lower our vibration. We start to, you know, deplete our biochemical stores, our neurotransmitter stores, and we become depressed, sad people. The same way as like that microbiota, all those microorganisms, if they start to get used to eating refined sugar and processed foods, they're going to become dull. They're not going to bring us that vibrancy. So it filters out, right? It's like what we consume inside. If it makes us become inflamed and just like low energy and low vibrations, we're going to start to see that in our environment, on our outside, how we look, how we act. And so the gut brain axis is very important in the way that like those microorganisms too, they inform our brain. So it's like if they're thinking, I don't know, nasty thoughts because they're like bad bacteria, our brain's also going to be like, I don't feel like doing this today, you know?
I love that you said that. What it brings up for me is on my ascension journey, my mind could only take me so far. And God knows I went as far as I could. And then I quickly realized, and alongside Jules, that our bodies needed to ascend. The cells needed to ascend if we were going to take it any further, because
Hmm.
we are one, mind, body,
Hmm.
and spirit. And
Hmm.
I love when you were talking about that brain gut connection, because the brain is, or the mind, the ego, can only
Yeah.
take us so far. And the gut and the rest of our system essentially is giving us that biofeedback and telling us what it needs to ascend itself. It's almost like, for myself, it's saying, okay, don't forget me. Okay, you're maybe raising in vibration on a conscious level, but we want to come too for the ride. So you also tapped into that energy about how important it is to raise the frequency of the body as well. And that this system truly is the most sophisticated system on this
Oh my
entire
God.
planet. And if we just give it what it needs to thrive, can you imagine where it can go?
Yeah, 1000%. And it's also like, when we think about that gut too, it's like our core, right? And so when there is inflammation there, it is talking to those other systems. We're that sophisticated and interwoven, right? Interconnected. It's like then your liver is going to be like, yo, well, I'm sluggish too. And I'm like working 24/7 trying to like break down metabolites and, all these things. So it's like, it's like the energy, they start communicating with all the other systems. Like once that
Yeah.
gut goes, it's like you'll start to see different parts of you start to fall apart. And it's like, yeah, they are communicating. There's energetic talk happening and along with like physiological. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like it's the mothership of the
it is.
body. And
It is.
and if we can get our bodies, and it's been proven in science, I know you can follow up on this. If you can get into that parasympathetic nervous system and that rest and restore, the body knows what to do. So, do
Mhm.
you have any tricks, tips? What do you use with your clients to help guide
Yeah.
them to really get them in that state of mind, that state of being?
Yeah. And that's such a lovely question. And it's like the forever practice forever in our life, right? Because whenever I talk to my clients too, it's like, first and foremost, you're here because you want to change. And that's like a huge witness. You are accepting that whatever you've been doing no longer works or it has never worked, and you want change and prioritizing yourself and your health, respecting that is the biggest thing to help reduce stress and that it doesn't have to be perfect. I think lots of times too, it's like we can start to have this goal of like, I want to be super healthy and superhuman and get so fixated on that we create stress again. But being like, we're always, you know, like in evolution of change. And so it's always working day by day and like just bringing that self compassion and helping that to actually alleviate stress and bringing that parasympathetic state, calm. That's like my introductory. So that's number one. And so one of the things, I mean, there's so many factors that go along with your parasympathetic, right? And nutrition is huge. When you eat whole, clean foods that your body's receptive to, that your body like thrives on, your body's going to be in a parasympathetic state. It's not going to be trying to fight off pathogens or any trigger foods that are causing inflammation, right? Then there's movement and exercise. It's like you gotta, that cross movement, that's moving energy throughout your body, your energetic body, but also it's physiologically like reducing stress, it's increasing endorphins, it's increasing dopamine. So that ultimately is going to bring you to a parasympathetic state. Maybe not during if you're doing like a HIIT workout, but afterwards, right? What else is there? One thing that I incorporate a lot to get them to a parasympathetic state actually is like breath work, meditation, visualization, all of those to get centered because there's so much noise, right? There's like social media, there's actual noise, there's, especially if we live in an urban city, that creates so much stress, lights, cell phones, all of that environmental stress on our body is also going to trigger a sympathetic state. This is a total side note, but I was, not to totally bash on the Barbie movie, but I keep thinking like, I kind of want to watch it in the theater. I kind of want to watch it, but I feel like the bright pink would hurt my eyes. And I think that would affect my nervous system, and it's just like kind of becoming aware of what rubs you the right way and what rubs you the wrong way. Right.
I love that
So
you said that. It is about being aware and what's your truth, right? Because what
yeah.
bothers one person may not bother another, and it is about really listening to that internal guidance. And if we do
Hmm.
become more hyper aware of the choices we're making, what our body's telling us,
Yeah.
we're already way ahead of the game here. So I,
Yeah.
I think that's really, really important. Vibration. So let's talk vibration. I'm gonna throw something at you. I'm gonna push you a little bit because we're talking about the 5 levels of
Yeah.
consciousness and how it correlates into the body, and the second and third body is really connected to that chemical body and that neural body. And then we are now proving that the quantum body is a thing, and we can start to teach the cells to read the information from a scalar wave versus the environment that is around it, the information that it's being fed. Just giving you this little nugget, and knowing that Jules and I have been down this path, and there's a lot of other people that have joined us that we're really starting to show what is possible. How do you think that this could spill into nutrition and see it evolve in the future as humans evolve?
Oh, that's so interesting. And so, one thing that kind of pings me about it is EFT tapping, emotional freedom technique tapping, right? And when we think about like a lot of our negative beliefs, our thoughts, our family history when it comes to food and nutrition, there's a lot out there, being like a nutritionist, I'm like a therapist, and helping to people have a new mindset and perspective around food, and so oftentimes I do EFT techniques for people because it's changing their cellular consciousness around any negativity they have around food and nutrition, and it's mind power too. It's like you are creating a new narrative around food, when you're with food, and this is also like a Reiki thing, when you're with food, you can thank your food, and its nutrient levels do become more potent. And so it is energetic because it's like we're changing our mindset around it. I always tell my clients, especially with EFT, it's like, we've been walking around with these like pruny little cells because it's like these little thoughts have pruned our cells. Like, I don't want to eat greens, or like greens are gross. But once you start tapping into your cellular consciousness, being like, I love greens. Greens are so nutritious. Greens are beautiful. Greens are vibrant. Those cells are like, and they become grapes, and it's like you start to really believe it, you do believe it, and you really like take that in, and it changes you. So did that answer your question?
Oh, I love it. You were doing this, and my whole body started to vibrate as you were doing it. And I love that, because you're basically talking about a future where we're bringing more conscious awareness into our food, where the vibrations, the information that we're feeding into our food before we're ingesting it. Can you imagine a world of people who are tapping before they eat? They're already in that parasympathetic nervous system before they even put the food in their mouth. So they're not storing all this, whatever they're putting into their systems, and they can actually enjoy their meals in community.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you think about it, I mean, if you are going for like a clean, organic, like salad with all the really yummy fixings that are just full of nutrition, they're already like high vibing, right? Their frequency is just like, we are here, we're enzymatic, we're gonna give you so much life. But if we approach it in like I just really don't want to eat it, that's creating stress in the body that's not going to digest all of that beautifulness. Like, so it's like, it is a lot of awareness and being like, no, look at how inspiring that salad is. Of course I want to eat it. It has flowers on it or whatever. And that's going to open up our heart and really take in that food and that energy.
I love that you just said that, opening up the heart, because as you were saying this, I had this visual of even children and people sitting around a table. It goes even beyond the food. Then it goes to the person who prepared the food, and then how that gratitude starts to spiral outwards. And I don't know, maybe I'm idealistic, but I really do see, because
I do too.
The truth is energy, and shame is at 20 hertz. And love is at 528 hertz. And as we start to raise in vibration, and it's through our conscious awareness, the choices we make around our thoughts, our food, our vibration is going to go up. And the people who are maybe resisting a little bit, well, the truth is that those higher vibrations do hold more power. And the more of us who start to hold that higher frequency, it's going to draw everybody else back into it anyway.
Absolutely. Yes, 1000%.
So it's time to get on board and start to focus on the frequency patterns that we're holding and live in more of that state of awareness. Do you have any tips? Let's be real and go back to like third level consciousness, second level consciousness. Because a lot of us are stuck in our emotions, and emotions are connected to that. And so like there's emotional eating. And do you have, what are some of other maybe tricks, or what do you do to help people become more aware of these habits that are either conscious or unconscious to help people step out of that?
Oh, you know, and this might sound like super basic because it kind of is.
That's
And it's like
perfect.
when, you know, if you're on that path, if you're like, I'm ready to become more aware, our logical mind is like kind of tries to rule the world, right? And so, and this is especially like what I encounter with my clients is having a journal. It's just like as easy as logging things. How are they feeling? What are they putting in their body? How, and ultimately it's like, how are they feeling after each action that they do? Because lots of times the brain is going to be like, whatever, you know, but then when you go back and reflect and like see like how you did feel after, say, like taking a Pilates course. Oh, I did really enjoy it. Oh, I forgot. Yes, I felt so much more at peace and I felt stronger. Oh, yes, after eating that cookie, I didn't feel that great. You know, and it becomes less of an impulse or like habit to pick up the cookie and just eat it. It's like, oh wait, no, I remember that actually didn't make me feel very good. So it's almost like retraining the brain in lots of ways. Like our intuitive body is there, but if we haven't been listening for a while, we kind of have to start training the big brain to, you know, to kind of be present and be like, okay, you know, homework. And then your body, after a while, your intuition becomes like, no, don't eat the cookie. You don't want it, you know, and your
I
brain
love
doesn't
that.
have to think about it anymore. So it's as
I
easy as just logging.
I love that. And you know what came through as you were saying that, logging it, journaling it is beautiful because it does give us a reminder of
Yeah.
what happened in our past. But the truth is the past doesn't exist anymore,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
If we actually think about it, the past doesn't exist. It only
Mm-hmm.
exists if we bring conscious awareness there, or if we go and read the story, which is good. It gives us feedback and it reminds us.
Yeah.
And if we can get to a place of creation and start to explore, well, does the future me look like? And start
Mm-hmm.
to use your imagination and how do I want to be? How do I want to, what sort
Mm-hmm.
of choices do I want to make around food? And start to play in that avatar, and then
Mm-hmm.
and really hold and create that energetic pattern for your future,
Mm-hmm.
and start to journal. Okay, the future me is going to
Yeah.
do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
What does this speak to you? I'm just curious because it kind of ties in with the coaching that I do,
So
and I just would like to bridge it with the nutrition because I've never done that. And I'd like to get your thoughts on that.
totally. And you know, it's kind of like using all the senses, right? And one is just like thinking it, and that's like great. Marking off a thinking, writing it down. And that's always going to just like, that's putting it on paper. That's like creating, it's like taking it to the next level, right? Putting it on paper and then doing the action. And so it's sort of like, you know, and it depends on who you are. Like, I love writing things down and crossing things off. It feels like, yes, accomplished. You know, so if it's like, okay, I'm going to eat more greens. I'm going to start eating more greens. Fiber is queen, you know, like, yes, it's going to help my gut. And that's my priority, is to like start to clean out my gut. I'm going to eat more fiber. 1 extra cup of greens a day, you know, put it on a calendar. So you can think it, you can create your goals of like, this is what I want to accomplish when it comes to healthy eating, and then making an action plan. So it's like putting it on a calendar. I love paper calendars because it's like it's like meal planning. You can like, oh, well, Tuesday I'm going to have like a quinoa salad, and that's going to be for like Tuesday lunch. And so then you realize that you're actually like, you are doing what you're saying, and every day you're getting closer and closer. You're accomplishing your goal every day. And like you're saying, it's like yesterday doesn't exist anymore, but today I ate that bowl of quinoa, and like, that's great.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. So talking aging or anti-aging, and or if we go outside of time and space altogether, and because it is just epigenetics, do you have any is there any foods, supplements that you see a difference in respect to people who are looking to slow down the aging process?
Yeah.
I'm all about age reversal, but let's start with slowing it down. What do you recommend?
I mean, again, it's always like,
Because there's a lot of stuff out there.
there's so much, and I'm going to talk about maybe three. Okay, first is nutrition, and we've been talking about nutrition a lot. And again, it's always going for like the organic, going for the sprouted, going for like the most nutrient dense, high potency foods that you can find, right? And I know it's not possible for everybody, but it is increasing your plants and your vegetables. They have tons of like vitamins, minerals, enzymes. That is always cleaning up cellular debris, right? It's like fighting off the free radicals because they're so antioxidant rich. So there's always like that, along with like essential fatty acids that like plump up your skin, that are good for hormonal health. So it's just like eating whole, clean foods, like essential fatty acids, plants and that have vitamins and minerals, which they all do. What other specific nutrition? Algae is so incredible. Spirulina and chlorella are great for detoxification, great protein, so rich in vitamins and minerals, that might be even richer than what we get on land, right? The soil because the soil isn't that great now. So that's very important for slowing down aging. Nutrition, eating very healthily, a few times a day, to stabilize blood sugar levels. Sleep is very, very important, and getting quality restful sleep, because that's where a lot of like detoxification happens. Your memory gets a bit strengthened, hormone regulation, a lot of cellular repair and recovery is happening. So very vital to have that sleep. When you are not sleeping so well, it is easier to be like, I'm going to go for caffeine. I'm going to go for processed sugars because I need to feel up, and that's just going to create the spiral. It's going to crystallize your blood. It's, there's so many detrimental effects to going that route when there's lack of sleep. It affects your hormone, your appetite hormones. So sleep is really important. Exercise, we all know.
I would even say exercise being maybe one of the top most important things to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And not just for like, our musculoskeletal system, but for so many other reasons, right? It's like muscle, it's like increases those endorphins, it's cardiovascular, lung health. It's so incredibly
forcing us
vital
to actually breathe.
Yeah. So that's really important. But you think going back to nutrition then. So yes, everyone exercise. I feel like that one's almost like a no-brainer. I don't fully have to go into that one. But when it comes to like nutrition and eating though too, one thing that is really helpful for slowing down is intermittent fasting. And so intermittent fasting anywhere from like 12 to 16 hours. And I will say that like it can, definitely speak to a practitioner. It's not that great for certain menstrual phases. So it can be harder on women to fast for longer periods of time because it does affect blood sugar levels. But one thing that happens with intermittent fasting is that the body does go through autophagy. And so autophagy being like self-eating. Auto means self, phagy means eating, and it's like the body's sort of recycling its, how do I say it? It's fasting, so it's helping to break down cellular material. So through autophagy, you're breaking down cellular material and reusing those cells for necessary things. So it's like helping to like clean up old cells, getting rid of those old cells that are making us weaker, tired, just a bit more zombie-like. And it's helping to regenerate healthier, newer cells. And so that's one of the benefits of intermittent fasting. However, now with like a lot of these biohacking tools, that's one way, right? And there's, I'm not sure if you ever heard of spermidine. Have you heard
No,
of
please tell me
spermidine?
about it.
Yeah, so spermidine is it's a naturally polyamine, and that just means it's like 2 amino groups. And what that does is it helps to induce autophagy. And so it's a supplement, it's a capsule that you can, it can be carried in a capsule, and you can take that. And so if you take it consistently, your body's constantly kind of like cleaning itself out and regenerating new cells. And so that's something that I've been working with for the past 2 months now, through a brand called Primidine. I think also from Canada. I'm not 100% sure. But that's kind of been my my new supplement that I've been working with to like help to slow down aging, to help renew my cells, and to like feel more vibrant, feel more energized, feel clear and sharper.
I love that. I've been intermittent fasting since my 20s, and it was just
Mhm.
intuitive. My father always did it, and I just felt better doing it. So
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that
Yeah.
autophagy does work. But I'm curious with this supplement, this, because there's a lot of people that I know that they just can't do it. They can't commit to that lifestyle change.
Exactly.
So you can take the supplement and still eat without the
Mhm.
fasting part and get the
Mhm.
same benefits,
Mhm.
essentially.
Mhm. Mhm.
Amazing. This is
Yeah,
huge.
yeah. Yeah, and there's a lot of supplements now that are talking about that, right? That's like talking about like bringing in autophagy easier to your body than fasting, or supplements. I know that Qualia does one called Senolytic that removes senescent cells. So those are kind of like also those like zombie cells. And with that supplement, I believe you take it twice a month, like 2
Easy
days,
peasy.
and it's so easy. So there's lots of ways to start hacking this ability to slow down aging even faster, you know, through supplementation. But you know, and I'm come from such a holistic background that like those are great, but like I need to also, you know, do the intermittent fasting every once in a while, and like, you know, incorporate all the things so that I feel like I'm not just relying on some a supplement
I
essentially.
I love that you said that,
Mhm.
because I am also a Pilates instructor, and the reality is diet, our lifestyle choices, if we stick in that same routine, our body becomes so used to it.
Absolutely.
It really does need to be challenged, and you need to change
Yeah,
things up in order for it to keep evolving and
yeah,
thriving. And yeah, this is wonderful.
yeah,
Well, you
yeah.
really gave us so many nuggets today, and I'm excited for you to start playing with our particle accelerator to get your feedback from that. And it was lovely talking to you, and biohacking the body. So for people who don't want to intermittent fast, I think that was such a valuable piece of
Yeah,
information there, and bringing our conscious
yeah.
awareness into our food and how we approach eating. So I just want to thank you, Lyssandra, for your time today. This has been a real treat to be able to talk with you. If anybody wants to work with Lyssandra one-on-one, Native Palms Nutrition, reach out. Even if you don't live in LA, you can still,
Yeah.
you can still work with her. Do you have any last words that you would like to leave with our audience?
I mean, try and live the happiest life because you truly deserve to feel so good. I mean, that's the thing that's coming up is like, I just want everyone to feel so good and to experience what it feels like to feel so good. So prioritize your health.
I love that. I love that. Yes. And go for that high vibing experience because it's there for everyone.
Yeah.
Well, thank you
Thank you.
all and have a beautiful rest of your day wherever you are.
Mhm.